Coming up on this week's Falcon Fever, Montevallo's interim athletic director, Don Makowski, takes the reins. We have a one-on-one interview with the temporary leader of the Falcon flock.
And we also sit down with the leader of UM's cross-country and track and field team coach, Tommy Barksdale.
Plus, we get you caught up on all the baseball action, find out how the men fared in their recent games.
And the women's soccer team's head coach is wrapping up his first year in the helm. We've got an interview with Coach Jeremy Hampton. Falcon Fever starts now. Hello and welcome to Falcon Fever. I'm Sydney Fields.
And I'm Dan Cook. Thanks so much for joining us. Last week, Falcon Fever reported the departure of Jim Herlihy, and now Montevallo has a new interim athletic director ready to step in.
Assistant Athletic Director Don Makowski will now pick up where Jim Herlihy left off. Falcon Fever's Amos Hollandhead caught up with her in the process of adjusting to her new role.
This is Amos Hollandhead reporting for Falcon Fever, and I'm here with our interim athletic director, Don Makowski. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you, Amos?
Good. I'm doing just fine, and it's great and wonderful to have you as our new athletic director, our interim athletic director. And my first question to you is, what are your goals for being the interim athletic for the University of Montevallo?
I think mainly just to make sure that all of our facility projects stay on track throughout the summer while we're searching for an athletic director, and to help the search committee in any way that I can.
Okay. And my second question is, what did you learn while working with Jim Herlihy and shaping the dynamic for UM athletics?
Oh gosh, I've learned a lot. He's let me be a part of the budgeting process. I assist with our unit planning. I sit in on coaches' meetings, so sports supervision, just about everything it takes to run an athletic department.
That's good. And we're glad to see him get that job in New Hampshire, and we're glad that we have you to come up and step up for the university. And since that has happened, what has been the overall impact of athletics this year? We've had a successful year with soccer, basketball, and baseball. What has been the overall impact in academics, athletics, and in the community?
I think academically, when we do our reports each year for the NCAA, it's shown that our student athletes have a very high GPA. Usually overall it's higher than the student body in general. So hopefully this semester won't be any different there. And I think this year especially we've had some national recognition, with the televised game against Kentucky with men's basketball. Men's soccer won conference, men's basketball made it to conference and to regionals, just carrying on the success of the programs.
Okay, and it's been a great year so far. And with that said, do you plan on building on any of the aspects on athletics, or what are some things that could be improved on?
Definitely facilities can be improved on. I think that's what we're building on right now with the addition of softball, making sure that facility gets finished, and then the addition of men's outdoor track. So I don't know if anyone has seen the progress that they've made over at the old intramural fields where they're building the track.
Okay. And you started working with Montevallo as an assistant computer, and in 2008, and you've come to work with the athletic department since then. And how has the experience prepared you for becoming an interim athletic director?
I think in my position as assistant athletic director for compliance, I had a lot of involvement with the student athletes, especially their academic piece with scholarships, a lot of day-to-day processes in the department. So I think that, in working under Jim has helped me be able to fill this role while we search for a permanent athletic director.
Good. And in addition to working, you also receive your bachelor's in business here at the university. And what about this university has made you contribute a part of your life to being in Montevallo?
I'm originally from Montevallo, so I worked in corporate America for several years, like 8 to 10 years, and when I had the opportunity to accept a position at the university, I quickly took it because it is such a special place, and it's kind of home to me.
Yes, yes. And since you are involved in athletics and in sports, what would be your favorite Montevallo sports memory?
My favorite Montevallo sports memory? I think one of my favorite memories is when we hosted regionals, I think 2 years ago, and not the regional final game, but the game before that we played and won in the last couple of seconds. Yes. That was very exciting.
Yes, that was very exciting. And since you've been here for Montevallo for so long, what has been your favorite part of Montevallo in general? What is your favorite part? What do you love about it?
I mean, I love the campus. I certainly love the people that are here. I mean, I think that's what makes Montevallo such a special place, is all the different people that you get to work with and, see on a daily basis.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Coach, for spending time with me, and thank you for getting an interview with you. And this has been Amos Hollenhead reporting for Falcon Fever with our new interim athletic director, Dawn McCoskey.
Dawn McCoskey is happy with her new role, but says she is working with athletics to one day find a permanent athletic director. Let's get our sports coverage started by heading to the Diamond.
First up for the Falcons was a 3-game series against the visiting Francis Marion Patriots. Matthew Haskins hit a two home runs Saturday afternoon, one in each game of the doubleheader. UM took game 1 by the final of 6-2, but fell in the second game 8-2. The third match was scheduled for the 6th, but was canceled due to weather. As of now, there are no plans to make up that game. On Tuesday, the Falcons took on the Stillman College Tigers here at home and won with a score of 11-3. Junior Vinny Rodriguez got his 5th home run this season. Senior pitcher Alex Guilford allowed only 2 runs with 1 earned run. Of the 119 pitches in the game, 78 of those were strikes. Sophomore Brandon Marshall drove in 1 run and scored 1 run. He went 2 for 4 at the plate. The Falcons hit the road Wednesday as they took on the Alabama Huntsville Chargers.
The Chargers lived up to their name in the first inning, charging to a quick 3-0 lead. Montevallo cut the lead to 6-4 in the 6th inning before the Chargers added 3 more runs into the 7th to secure the game. The Chargers won the game 9-4. Montevallo's leadoff batter, Will Fulmer, went 2 for 4 on that day. The Falcons will have a week off before hitting the road again. On the 16th, the team will travel to North Alabama to take on the Lions. The first pitch is scheduled for 6 p.m. Then the Falcons will return home and finish the season with 7 straight home games, including Senior Day on April 27th. Now let's take things from the Diamond to the tennis courts.
Heading into the final 3 matches of the season, the women's tennis team is 8-6 overall and 5-5 in the conference.
The women wrapped up the last home match of the season with a 5-4 win against the Clayton State Lakers. Junior Nikki Polsarova claimed the #1 singles match 6-1, 6-3. Sophomore Allison Howell outscored the Lakers in the #4 singles match 6-4, 6-7, and 7-5. Polsarova and Ananias Robert won the #1 doubles match 8-5. The match was also on Senior Day. Montevallo celebrated the career of senior Haley Highfield before the match.
This afternoon, the Falcons were swept 5-0 by the Columbus State Cougars. They will pick up their next games April 12th at Young Harris and April 13th at North Georgia.
Now let's move from the court to the green. The women's golf team has played a strong season and is now getting close to the PBC championships. The women's golf team was ranked 25th in the latest NCAA Division II rankings. This is the first time in school history that the Falcons have ranked inside the top 25 nationally and are one of 5 PBC schools currently ranked. Both the men and women's golf team compete in the Peach Belt Conference Championship at Pine Mountain, Georgia on April 18th.
Let's turn to women's track and field. The Falcons traveled to Mississippi last Friday to compete in the Twilight Invitational, finishing in 3rd behind Division I opponents of Ole Miss and Alcorn State. The Falcons were led by a first-place performance from freshman Hillary Booth in the javelin throw. Montevallo returns April 17th to compete in the Peach Belt Conference Championship. Now it's time for this week's featured Falcon.
Falcon Fever's Sloan Gibby joins us to introduce this week's standout athlete. Hey, Sloan.
Hey guys, this week's featured Falcon is Katie Vanover. Katie is a junior elementary education major at UM. She runs both cross country and track, and not only is she a student athlete, but she has had some leadership roles on campus. And I had a chance to sit down with her and talk with her. Let's take a look. I'm here with Katie Vanover. She is on the cross country and the track and field team. And not only is she a student athlete and has to manage her time in that regard, but she also is president of Phi Mu, which is sorority here on campus. In Phi Mu, you've had two different offices. You said you have Phi director and president. So what all have you had to do in those offices?
For Phi director, I had to manage the new girls and their process of initiation into Phi Mu, their first 8 weeks. And for president, I basically manage the morale of the chapter, make sure it's high, and I kind of make sure that all the other executive offices run smoothly.
And what all do you have to do to manage your time? Like, is it hard, and what are your strategies in managing your time?
Sometimes it's a little difficult, but I have a planner, and I write everything down in it so I know where I'm supposed to be and when. That's basically it. Sometimes it gets a little tricky, but for the most part, I have it under control.
Are there a lot of conflicts that go along with that?
Sometimes, but for the most part, I've sorted it out where I know my priorities, and it's not that hard to pick and choose what I do.
Right, just staying organized and on top of things. What got you started running, like, however long ago?
Well, in my freshman year of high school, I wanted to be a cheerleader, and so I tried out for the team and didn't make it, and so the only sport left that you don't have to try out for was cross country, so my parents forced me into it against my will, and then I ended up loving it, so.
Well, you're obviously pretty good at it. What do you think is the most important aspect of running?
Mentality. I definitely feel like there's a quote that says running is 80% mental and 20% physical, and I feel like if you've got a strong mentality, you can do whatever you want with it.
What is your favorite part of track? Like, what's your favorite race?
The 5K. I like
5K.
long distance, yeah.
Cross-country runner at heart.
Yeah.
And what are your plans after you graduate?
Well, I'm an elementary ed major, and I plan to go to grad school for special ed. I want to teach elementary special ed particularly.
Do you have any ideas of where you might go to grad school, or are you just keeping it open?
I want the University of Georgia, but I have an open mind, so I'll go wherever.
Well, thank you for interviewing with us. This is Katie Vanover for Cross Country and Track. Congratulations, Katie. If you'd like to nominate an athlete for Featured Falcon, let us know.
Now that we've had the chance to feature an athlete, how about we highlight a few coaches?
We have Marcus Sanders and Savannah Kidd joining us with an inside look on the driving forces behind UM athletics in this week's Coach's Corner.
Savannah and I had a chance to sit down and chat with two UM coaches about their sports and themselves.
I spoke with Coach Barksdale. He not only leads cross country, but recently picked up coaching track and field as well. He said that he's glad to be back in his home state of Alabama.
It actually, coaching wasn't my first career, and I have a friend that got me into coaching, and just everything seemed to be pulling me back. I've been running for a while, for a pretty good long time now, and just love it, and it's just a sport that I just grew up doing, so. Well, that was all due to Mr. Hurley, our athletic director. He had asked me if we would like to try to add women's track and field to help out our distance program, and I said yes. It is right now, just because it's myself and my assistant Julia Marquardt. So we have several athletes for the two of us. But I mean, it's not as bad as it sounds. But it's just a lot of hours. But I love my job, so I don't mind doing it. Well, we will be adding men's track and field next year and women's indoor track and field. So we're expanding as we're growing. Of course, with the new track facility being built, it's supposed to be done in November. 9-lane rubberized track that will be open to the community other than when we have track practice. So everything is growing along with adding women's softball. So I mean, as a program as a whole, it's just nice to see growth.
See, I can't even imagine how busy Coach Barksdale stays now that he was doing cross country before, and now he's picked up the track and field.
Oh man, I mean, two jobs at one time.
Year round.
But I am proud to see the UM sports expanding. We get a new field, give us new opportunities to go out there and shoot and get more packages on the show.
Yeah, and for softball as well.
Oh, very much. Speaking of coaches, this leads us to part 2 of our Coach's Corner. I had the opportunity to catch up with women's soccer head coach Jeremy Hampton, who is wrapping up his first year leading the Falcons. Hampton is a 2002 graduate of the University of Alabama with a bachelor's degree in history and a master's degree in human performance with an emphasis in sports management for the University of Alabama. Hampton served as assistant head coach in 2012 for the Falcons and is now Montevallo's 3rd head coach in the program's 17-year history. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well,
All right. First question. What is some of your background and what have you done in the past up to being hired to be the head coach?
I spent 4 seasons at the University of Alabama. As an assistant coach there, I was goalkeeper coach there. I spent another season as a junior college head coach. I spent 8 years as far as a high school head coach. I coached some Olympic development program stuff, so pretty much got a fairly diverse background.
All right, sounds pretty good. Being a new head coach, how has it changed from being an assistant now to being a head coach?
It's interesting. You're always trying to put your own spin and your own culture into the program, and we've had some rough patches, but we've done fairly well as far as heading into the future. You know, Coach Hughes laid a great foundation for us, and even before her, Coach King laid a great foundation for the women's soccer program. So we're just trying to build on that and expand and create a new culture that hopefully brings some more championships to our program.
All right, sounds good to me. The new season will be here before you know it. What are you planning to do this off-season to improve upon last year?
Our first goal was to bring in some quality players that could help us. One of those things was to add depth to our program, which I think we did very well. And you know, hopefully in the off season, the girls will come back with a championship attitude and a championship mentality to help us improve.
All right, thank you very much. On National Signing Day, y'all signed 7 new freshmen who will be here in the fall. Give us some info on the group that's coming in. Who should we be on the lookout for?
That group is a very talented group. You know, from day number 1, we've got 2 goalkeepers coming in that are going to battle with the 2 current goalkeepers that we have here right now. You know, it's fun to watch. A Hampton Brinson, who's a very electrifying striker. A Taylor Gonzalez, she's great. She can play out wide in the midfield, can play in the central. Adds a lot of versatility there. MJ Gray, Tori Sanders, you know, Taylor Garrison, all going to compete pretty well for spots. You know, so it'll be a great competition going on with what we've got coming back and what we're heading into the future.
All right. As a coach, not only is to get your best out of your players on the field, but how important is it to get the best out of them in the classroom?
Well, you know, obviously the key word in collegiate athletics is student athletes. We want them to be high quality students before they are athletes as well. You know, we've done a great job as far as implementing study hall, communicating with the professors across campus, really getting involved in the community, really trying to develop everything around that student athlete, not just on the soccer field, but in the classroom and in the community as well.
All right. And final question. Also, what do you like doing for fun? Any type of hobbies outside your job?
Love to play golf. Wish I had more time to spend on the course, but one of my rituals as far as home game goes is to play 9 holes of golf before we play the match. So it's always nice to have those late night matches so I can get out, get to the course and knock the ball around a little bit and clear my mind. So I'd say play golf and, you know, spend time with my fiance and my dog, and that's about it.
To see Coach Hampton in action, the Falcons will close out their exhibition schedule with a home match against Spring Hill College on April 12th. The match is scheduled to begin at 11 a.m.
Well, that's it for this week's Coach's Corner. Now back to Dan and Sydney.
Thanks, Marcus and Savannah. Now it's time for our Falcon Fever Fan of the Week.
This week's fan is Mary Lou Williams. Thanks so much for watching our show and supporting the Falcons.
Remember, Falcon Fever is available at your fingertips 24/7.
To see current and past episodes of Falcon Fever, including extended interviews with players and coaches, just go to YouTube and subscribe to our Montevallo For You channel.
And you can connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to see pictures from UM athletics, events, and behind the scenes of our show. We also post score updates and recaps throughout the week, so be sure to check out all of our social media pages.
And last but not least, you can get extended sports coverage on MontevalleFalcons.com. There, you'll find schedules, team rosters, live stats, and more. Well, Dan, that's all the time we have for this show.
Thanks so much for joining us, and be sure to tune in again next week.